it's me, Dorian. I just thought I'd put up a video about my thoughts about the movie Nope that I just saw. So before I get into that, I'm just gonna say completely brand new to this whole video thing, and so apologies up front for lighting, sound, and all that stuff. And mostly just I'm just making this kind of just for me, just to think about the movie and digest in real time. Oh, and apologies about the glare through my glasses too. Couldn't figure out how to do that. Get rid of that. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of think about it in real time and just get some of my thoughts out there. So that's kind of just, I guess, what this is going to be. So this is going to be my thoughts on the movie Nope that I just saw. And I'm just going to say spoilers, complete spoilers for everything. So if you haven't seen it yet, spoilers. Okay, so now I'm going to get into it, and what are my thoughts on this movie? First of all, I haven't seen Jordan Peele's other two movies, Get Out and Us. Mostly because I'm not a really big horror fan, and I'm actually kind of a pretty sensitive viewer, I guess, when it comes to that, and really, really picky on my horror. I do like some, but I'm very picky about it, and it's just not, it's usually too intense for me. So, hadn't seen those, and I didn't know anything about this movie, and I was kind of thinking, I was curious to see it from the trailer, but I didn't know what kind of movie it was going to be, if it was going to be like really, really horror, like Get Out, or if it was going to be different. You couldn't really tell because the trailer was vague. So I was kind of waiting. I didn't go to see it on opening night. I was just kind of waiting to see, like, for some spoiler-free reviews to come out to be like, how scary is this movie? Is this something that wuss like me could handle or not? Because I was legitimately curious. And then I went to some website that was like, rating it on like Scareometer of like, how gory is it, how whatever. And so I got the sense, okay, I don't think this is going to be like Saw intense. And so I'm glad to say, like, if there's other people out there who are not seeing this movie because they're afraid that it might be too intense, I will say that this was a movie that I could handle. It was more atmospheric, and you would imagine the horror. So I could see how horror and what scares people is so subjective that I'm not going to say this isn't a terrifying movie, because it could be to people, because everybody has different triggers of what is terrifying to them or not. This was definitely a movie that I could handle. So I will say that, like, this was, like, all of the, like, gore happens off screen. And so this isn't a movie with, like, jump scares or, like, gore or, like, intense, like, anything like that. So that was fine. And then, so it wasn't going to be like a slasher. It wasn't going to be like that kind of movie, which was good, because I was hoping that this would be something more along the lines of like Alfred Hitchcock, because that's what I was hoping. That's why I was like curious if this was going to be like psychological kind of movie. And yeah, I would say that it is. I think it sits in that kind of nice, to me, kind of sits in that nice kind of like maybe Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock kind of level of atmospheric kind of horror, as opposed to like slasher, which is the kind of stuff that I like. So anyway, I'm being vague about the movie to like try to get right into it. So I like that, and I'm glad I saw this movie. So now it'll give me a lot to think about. I will say the other thing that I was really, really concerned about for me was like, do the horses die? And like, am I gonna see a horse like eviscerated. And so that fear that I had in myself almost hurt my experience of the movie. So now that I know that that doesn't happen, or I should say, it could be implied. It's implied. But, I know now that I will not actually see a horse killed. Just like, okay, it's there, now it's gone, and you can imagine that it went to a farm upstate, so now that I know that, and well, same thing with, the spoilers, the people too, same thing with the people too, of like, obviously they were ground to death, but I didn't see that, and I liked that because then it's sort of like I can imagine in my mind the level of intensity of how I want to picture that scene going on. So that was good. So anyway, to get into the movie, maybe I should just go, chronologically, I guess, beginning to end or something, maybe, and just beat by beat. I will say, well, I'll just start with the best up front. My favorite moment, my absolute favorite moment in the movie was, and again, like I said, 100 times, full spoilers. So my absolute favorite moment was where OJ is getting out of his white truck horse trailer, and he's driving up, and sunglasses, I wear sunglasses at night, is playing, and that whole scene with I wear sunglasses at night, do. I don't know if you can sing. Yeah, that song, that the whole bit with that song, Corey Hart, right? That whole entire bit, I loved. Who did the music? Was it Abel? Abel. Let me see. Hold on. Just was looking at it but he's the composer, so I don't know if this would be like the composer or like the music editor. The hold on one second. The music. Michael Abels, Abels, Michael Abels, I believe, but I don't know how it's credited of like, okay, so Abels would be the composer of the original score, but if you take like pre-existing music and then edit it, and I think in this case like augment it, is that still under Michael Abels, or is that it? Anyway, whoever did that whole team, I loved how they augmented the song, I'm just a sucker for that kind of thing in general. Like when Shining opens and you hear the Deus Eres, but it's like, they really slow it down and stretch it out, and how like Wendy Carlos was just so amazing with the scoring for the film. But I just love in general, I'm a sucker for when you like speed up, slow down, play with the music and really slow it down, and like almost kind of like a Bach toccata and fugue kind of like feel like heavy and atmospheric, but also it just made like brilliant sense. I was trying to think like practically what's like diegetic or non-diegetically within the sense of the movie. Now I would have to talk to like a car mechanic to verify if this is actually accurate, but like, okay, so if your battery is dying on your car, because we've all had our batteries die on the car, but I feel like, yeah, so I feel like when your battery dies in the car, it just goes. It's like your car, but there is kind of a period where it kind of, and maybe your lights are dimming, or whatever. But I don't know if I've had the sensation that, like, you know, it would slow, like, it would slow down the music. I don't think. You know, that to me is more like if I have a cassette stuck in the cassette player and it's like grinding or but like would this actually happen is the question of, like, if you're playing a song on the radio and the battery is dying in the car, and as the battery is dying but not dead, it would slow down the song. I don't know, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't work realistically in real life, but the way they portrayed it in the movie felt real. It felt, to me, in any case, like it made sense. I confused diegetic and non-diegetic, but, like, the music that we, the audience, can hear in the movie that characters can't, like a soundtrack, versus the music that characters in the movie, they can actually hear, like, on the car radio. It felt real. The scene where the car, the Fry's van is, like, dying, and well, you could just hand wavy alien electronic effect. It's dying, and so the music, the song, like, is playing on repeat, but it's, like, slowed down and augmented. God, I took a long time to just say a little thing. That's what I do. But anyway, so, And as that weird musical effect is happening to the song, you know, like your record's stuck in the groove or something, you know, it's also the ominous clouds are happening, and it's just so atmospheric. And then, you know, Daniel Kaluuya's performance as OJ is just like if the Oscars meant something, like Oscar worthy. Just so good, just like conveying so much with just like nonverbal like expression, and like it's so intense and like so well shot, and I was just it was so good. But like I'm getting emotional over the scene, and like that song was just so good. And like I think that there was foreshadowing of the song earlier too. Like there was a lot of foreshadow in the movie too that I liked. I guess to segue off of that, but just such a beautiful like moment with that. And then I watched a couple of spoiler-free reviews for Nope, or there were a couple people who did like spoiler, non-spoiler in one video, and then I would just watch up to the part where they were going into spoilers and then stopped. And I think the videos I watched were Jessie Gender, Dan Murrell, and Eman movie reviews. And so I'm trying to remember which one said which. I think it was Eman who was saying that, I think it was Eman who was saying that the sound editing in this movie was really, really good. And like, I did not see this in IMAX or Dolby, and now I want to go back and do that. But I think E-Man was saying, like, the way the sound editing is done in general, of where you hear just sound effects in stereo or whatever. I don't have the terminology to describe it. But yeah, just the sound in this movie in general. Like, so I'm always a sucker for any movie that does music in intriguing ways. But the sound in general was really well done. And I also am a sucker for when movies use silence effectively too, which I think is more rare. And I think this movie definitely had moments of that as well. So I want to go back now. I want to go back and like I'm so spoiled for choice for movie theaters around here, because I have like one movie theater that has a really big IMAX, and then I have another movie theater that has an IMAX. It's just the lesser, Little Dipper, Big Dipper, like IMAX, but they have a really good Dolby theater. So with Top Gun Maverick, I could be all like, I'm so spoiled, but this is what I choose to do with my money is, with really good movies that deserve it. Like Top Gun Maverick, I was like, let's do it in I did regular, and then now I have to do IMAX, now I have to do Dolby. Like, so now I'm curious if I go back, like, given the choice, like, do I want to do Dolby for the sound effects or IMAX or both and compare? I'll think about that. But for now, for just what I did see just in regular, like, Saturday matinee, and there wasn't a lot of people here, I think because it's, not opening weekend at all, and it was like early matinee, but there was a couple of people in the theater with me, although I wished that I'd gone with a bigger crowd, although COVID, I don't know, but anyway, focus. Yeah, one thing about me, I don't focus, obviously. Okay, so, where was I going? I was talking about the music, I was talking about the sound editing and the atmosphere. The atmosphere was really good, I think. The atmosphere was really good. Okay, maybe I should just get into, like, plot of the movie or, like, chronological or whatever. I guess there were a couple of things. I have some complicated thoughts about the chimpanzee. Nothing wrong with the movie. Nothing controversial with the movie. It makes me really think a lot about how I think about chimpanzees and, like, how they were used in Hollywood and that kind of, not good environment, and, like, how we have treated chimpanzees in the past and everything. And I was thinking about possibly, what had been going on, like, chronologically with the chimpanzee. I'm just imagining, if this was real life, and, so all the spoilers, obviously, if this was real life, and I was trying to imagine what might have been a series of events for this chimpanzee, even if, just leave the aliens out of it, because obviously I think they're implying that maybe the aliens were always there, but I can easily believe in regular world with no aliens, you take a chimp, even one that's socialized and raised by humans and trained and everything, but, putting clothes on it, you're automatically making it uncomfortable. Then you're putting it in a box, enclosed. It's probably going to be, like, freaking out in there with balloons in it, in the box. Like, what? Like, can you imagine if you did this to your dog or your cat? You would terrify the shit out of your cat. Like, putting clothes on it, putting it in a box, putting balloons in there, shaking around, keeping it in that box for a while before you open it out. Of course, I don't know how this was filmed. If, like, the chimp, it was like it was an empty box and then put the chimp in, whatever. I don't know. But, like, and then I think we're meant to assume the trigger for the chimp was the balloons popping. And to me, it sounds like a gun is going off. And so, yeah, it's like if you shoot a gun at a wild animal, they're going to be terrified. Plus you could already imagine, we don't know the history of the chimpanzee, like, if its parents were shot and poached in front of it, and so the sound of a gunfire noise, kind of like the sound of the balloon, could be especially traumatic, whatever. And then the next part that is implied, basically, you kind of see it, but implied, but yes and no kind of thing, is you're implying that then the chimpanzee, all but one chimpanzee, and it looks to be fairly small, I don't think, maybe a teenager, maybe a baby, I'm assuming it's CGI, and I'm assuming CGI, and I think, God, that's a whole nother rant. Okay, I'll set my chimp CGI rant aside, because that could unpack another can of worms. It's tangential to the movie anyway. But anyway, so I'm just assuming that then the ape goes ape shit, and basically just kills everyone. Which is a little bit confusing, because, like, everyone, like, we're talking, like, not just, like, the 5 cast members, but, like, the people, the live studio audience, the cameraman, the what? So I'm just trying to fill in the pieces of the plot of the movie of what we didn't see. If I like take the smallest body count possible, we know that, let's see, there was father, mother, baby Jupiter, sorry, Stephen Young. The father, the mother, the one, and then the younger girl. Was it just the four? It was just those four. I think it was just those four actors and then whomever else. And we know that the father was like up on the set and the Jupiter was under the table. And then here is either the mother or the daughter. And we do know that I believe, daughter is also survived, and then so presumably that is the mother there who is like fully dead. And then the father then like comes down, and then like the chimp obviously like kills him. So we're assuming it's a little bit like, are we assuming that, sorry, my brain. Okay, are we assuming that the mother is definitely dead, and then the daughter was also in the living room, and then boy under the table, and then dad totally dead, and then we're just assuming everyone else, cameraman, audience, whatever, they just fled, and then someone comes in and then they shoot the chimp? Or could we plausibly assume that everybody survived severely injured? But I think we're meant to assume that at least the mother and the father were mauled to death. But when you were watching that scene, I felt that the daughter was also mauled to death. And I didn't, realize that she survived till later, I think, is how that plays out. But anyway, I could plausibly believe a chimpanzee doing that for sure. Chimpanzees are very, very violent and murderous, and they eat their young. And so, totally plausible. And that they would probably kill, like, several people before being put down or something. I mean, I could go with that. I could believe that. Yeah, anyway. I don't know. I'll have to think for a bit about why they chose to have that all even in there. I guess I'll set a pin in that and set that aside. I guess I want to come back to the CGI chimp thing just a tiny bit if I can. And I know absolutely nothing about CGI, and I'm not trying to, I don't want to insult anybody who does the artistry or animals in the industry, or it's a very complicated thing about using animals in movies, and like, do you do live animals, do you do do they even do animatronics anymore? Like, I don't even know, I don't know how it's done, and I'm sure, we all want, when you do use live animals to be as ethical as possible, and I don't even know which animals you're legally allowed to use anymore in entertainment or not. Like, I fully don't know if you can use chimpanzee. I don't think you can use chimpanzees in anything anymore, but I don't know. I mean, obviously for testing, you have to. I understand that medically, but for entertainment purposes, I'm not sure. I don't think you can use live chimpanzees, but I don't know. Anyway, it's weird to me personally. I feel like in a scene like this in the movie, I would expect the chimpanzee to be CGI, and it's a weird thing where I would also expect me to kind of know, like to kind of notice the CGI a little bit, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me that like in certain instances, it's like I'm almost comforted knowing that like okay, this particular animal in this particular movie is CG because I know I'm gonna see him get killed, so I know it's CG. So I want it to be slightly unrealistic. But then you also in everything want everything to be super realistic because you have to convince the viewer. So in any case, this chimp did not. My point is, this chimp depicted in the movie did not like break my suspension of disbelief to be like, oh, that's a cartoon. Like I was totally invested in it, and with it, so that was fine. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think you really see like actual gore there. Kind of. It's subjective on how you think of it. I was just thinking about 2001 Space Odyssey, and I wondered if, because this was having sci-fi vibes, if this was if maybe that was in there as like a nod to 2001, and they were doing a bunch of like kind of subtle like classic movie TV sci-fi nods, because you could clearly do like Close Encounters, you could clearly do anything that has that like classic like UFO shape, like and this was this would be interesting if this movie resonated more with like Hollywood people, because I kind of feel in a way this is kind of like a Hollywood movie or like classic Hollywood thing, that it's just as much about the filming of something as it is the aliens, like I don't know, like I feel like I'm not a Hollywood insider, so I'm not getting some of the in jokes, but I feel I can see them, and I can feel like this is connecting with sort of a lot of Hollywood isms in a lot of way. But I guess that's sort of meta thoughts about the movie. How do I even want to think about the movie? Do I want to think about it scatterbrained or chronological order? I guess maybe chronological order might be the most effective, if I can be effective. Okay. Yeah, right. But main thoughts, kind of, so overarching thoughts, like, when the movie starts, you start hearing, voice before you see anything, as they're doing, like, I think the Universal logo, and it's that like kind of sitcom, sorry, something in my eye or something, that sort of sitcom, that specific kind of American sitcom sound, maybe, yeah, like 90s canned laughter kind of thing, laugh track playing, and then, we don't have any context for that other than to think, okay, this is like some show that's playing in the background, like, they're gonna come into a character and maybe in the back, there's a TV on, or something. Well, then, yeah, but again, it becomes relevant because that is also part of the backstory to the Gordy plot that's in there with the chimpanzee. So yeah, they open with that. So it's like the focus. It's like, I think I'll have to see this movie again to see. But anyway, so that's how it's coming in, and then you see Pops on the horse, and OJ, establishing a lot of things, like, gonna lose the family farm, essentially, and you get the sense that the father is more of the showman, and already you get the sense that OJ is more, the horse guy, the you know, not he's not the showman side of things, and you get the sense of establishing like kind of like we need the money, and so they did a really good job overall, I think, in conveying a lot of backstory in kind of a, I don't know, minimalistic kind of way, which I really, really appreciate, allowing your imagination to fill in, and I did kind of feel like the dad was gonna die. I saw that coming. I definitely saw that coming. Like, to me, the scene I was thinking of was in Avengers Endgame with Hawkeye, where you could almost feel it coming of like, it's too idyllic, and like, he's hanging out with his family, and like, we know something that he doesn't know, and then, behind him his family poofs, and then Hawkeye turns around and his whole family is gone, so I had that sense, because OJ is walking forward, with the glove in his mouth, and then, he's walking forward, and then I saw it coming. I did see it coming, and I did think that was, I don't know, maybe a little like tropey, but I'm okay with it. Even then, just the attention to detail, like, I loved that he had the glove still in his mouth. I love that. Just like the attention to detail that just felt so real to me, because, like, okay, so for a minute, when I was working outside, this kind of physical manual labor kind of job, and you have gloves on every day as part of your job, and you just kind of always have gloves on. Maybe you're like dealing with ropes or whatever, and yeah, your gloves are they're just kind of like a part of you, and I could just feel that kind of it felt believable to me that, like, this is like a ranch hand, and you're working and you're going through the routines of your work, and you take off the glove, and you just like you do, and you have it in your mouth, and you're not even thinking about it because you're just like going about your thing. And then you just, something like, if there was a shooting star or something, you just, you would still have the glove in your, like, oh, I would, it just felt like that little bit of, like, acting by, like, Daniel Kaluuya, or, like, I don't know if it was in the script or what, was just, like, it's just, like, those details just felt, like, so believable to me. And, like, I know this is just like a sci-fi movie, so I don't know why this little detail was just, I don't know why it was like bothering me or something, but like the like magic bullet trajectory of the like nickel, I think it was a quarter nickel, I think, through Pop's eyeball. Like, it was just, it hurt my brain, and I don't know why, because it's a weird sci-fi movie with weird aliens, so why was this bothering me? But I was trying to do the whole like JFK like magic bullet thing of, like, if he's on the horse like this with a hat on, protective headgear, and it's hailing like from the sky. Well, that's the thing, is I guess it wouldn't be seen as like hail so more as it was, I did get the impression that it was like shrapnel, or like shrapnel in a tornado. I was thinking MRI in my brain in the beginning because I saw the coin and I saw the key, and I'm like, something magnetic is going on. It's a magnetic thing. It's an MRI, just like key in your pocket just launches into your body, like, and if you had a nail in your I could see, like, so I was thinking that it was going to be some like freaky magnetic thing, but no, I guess it was just like all the what we now know is that the jean jacket, I'll have to dissect that metaphor, so I'll just say the alien for now. The alien in my mind, the alien was excreting. It had eaten all the organic matter that it could consume, and then was excreting all the waste that its body couldn't process, which I would imagine would be all non-organic components, although there's no reason to assume an alien wouldn't eat non-carbon based life forms or whatever. Anyway, I was thinking that the alien was taking a dump. But then I could also see that, like, it appeared, if I'm going with plausible physics or something in this, if I'm thinking, like, when it comes down to begin to consume and it creates this tornado effect, and the metal excrement, which essentially is like shrapnel in the tornado, and then I could see I could see it launching at every angle, in every direction. But it would just be like, wouldn't a coin hit you this way instead of this way? Like, what are the odds that it would, like, well, maybe if it was traveling this way, it would fall because heavier, it's the drag, and so it would be so okay, I see it now. I was just thinking of, my brain, I was just thinking of, like, wouldn't it have come here and gone, like, my brain had to just, no, it was shrapnel, and it came in, like, that, okay. But then, when it hit, wouldn't your squishy eyeball just, like, I don't know, pop or something, or, like, be, like, gooped? Would you still see a fully intact eyeball with the pupil, with a slice through it? Or did it just go so damn fast it was like a laser? Or, like, I was like, what? I don't know, but or maybe we're meant to think it was, like, desiccated. I don't know, whatever. But you got the sense of what happened, and then he carries the little coin. OJ carries little coin shrapnel in a little biohazard bag with him around in a creepy kidney stone memento kind of way. But anyway, okay, so all right. That establishes that there was something freaky happening, and we did. Oh, I'm still talking about just the opening scene. We did see that little, like, blip. I thought at the time it was like a Hindenburg kind of thing, like a blimp. I didn't piece it later, but yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I connected the dots right away. I thought it was like some freak magnetic occurrence or whatever. Anyway, I'm going to pause myself here to focus to see if, because I don't want to go minute by minute through this thing. But okay, so we had the opening bit. Okay, and then I really was empathizing with OJ right away when he's doing the commercial with Lucky, and I empathized with OJ right away. It's like, and at least in my view, what I was thinking at the time, maybe before we know the character better, but, he's not a people person, he's not the showman, he's not like extra, like, this is not, I'm just here to deal with the horse. Like, I'm a horse guy, I'm an animal person. I don't, animals are my thing, people aren't my thing. Like, just, and I get it. Like, I could feel for him, like, kind of during the headlights, kind of like, well, there's a metaphor, but just like, Emerald's supposed to do this, or my dad was a showman. I just work with the horses, plus, and or two, grief, the cameraman or director or whatever are just being dicks, like, oh, this guy, and like, he's grieving, his dad just died, like, cut the man some slack. They're just being douche nozzles, but yeah, anyway, so then that, but I guess, I guess you could see maybe it's a little, you're already maybe getting some commentary on, like, behind the scenes. Like I said, like, if I were Hollywood people, it'd be interesting to hear from Hollywood people what they think on this movie. If that's like, how people, like, crew members and, like, stunt doubles and, like kind of some of the more behind the scenes people, like the horse guy, the props people, maybe, like, how they feel treated by, like, how they might feel treated by, directors, cinematographers, other like, maybe they feel, not seen and not appreciated, and there's deeper levels to that conversation, especially as, the shirt that OJ is wearing, and towards the end, and, like, his hero hoodie, the bright orange thing, it says, like, crew, the crew of, the movie he was working on, the Scorpion King, which, was that a real movie? That was a real one with The Rock, right? After the Mummy, right? Was that one? Or was that a real world reference, or did they make up an in reference for this movie? That's another question, but anyway, so anyway, I was relating to OJ the character and already kind of feeling for him and empathizing for him. And then already I was really liking the dynamic between OJ and Emerald, and that really felt relatable to me. That's something I wanted to, that was going through my brain that I liked about this movie, was what felt like a somewhat relatable sibling dynamic that maybe you don't see maybe too often in movies and TV, where they're just like, it's all Brady Bunch or something, or, like, in the real world, not all siblings get along all the time, or, like, they don't, they fundamentally don't understand each other, and, like, she's the people person, he's the animal person, he is the ranch hand, and he does labor, and he does work, and she doesn't do any of that, maybe, and so he can get annoyed and frustrated with that, like, of course you're not gonna work, but then he doesn't maybe appreciate all the things that she does, because he was just like, hey, stop your side hustle, and she's like, those are my main jobs, your thing is my side hustle, and so it's just like, it's not that it was an interesting dynamic, because it's not that they hate each other, and it's not that they're estranged, and it's not that they're completely at odds, but they're not buddy-buddy, and they're kind of pretty different, but you can still tell that there's a bond there, but you can still tell that they kind of don't. It's great. It's just great. I just loved, like, that, the writing, the acting, like, that dynamic. Like, it was a really, like, I felt like a really relatable relationship there. And it was also nice too to see that, like, we just need all kinds of different relationships portrayed in movies. Like, you always just see, like, like a romantic or something. Like, how many times do you see like sibling relationships, or, like, it's just, it's an interesting dynamic. I just felt you don't see that often. So that was cool, and, like, great acting by Keke Palmer and Danny Kaluuya, and everybody. So I was liking their kind of sibling thing of, like, he deals with the animals, she deals with people, and, I also really liked how Keke Palmer, like, played Emerald's kind of change in emotion throughout the course of the movie, of, like, she's fun and lighthearted in the beginning, but then when shit gets real, she gets real fast, and just, like, that's another thing that someone else said about this movie. that usually when you see horror movies, people don't seem to act in realistic ways, like, they run towards the monster or something, and so it's refreshing to see. They were, somebody else was saying, but I also echo that, like, it's refreshing to see, like, these characters seem to be making decisions that seem like what actual people might actually do, like, and that's why the movie is titled Nope. And then there was there was the line that Daniel Kaluuya played, and it was just perfect, of like when he did say it, and it just, and even though unfortunately I didn't see this with a huge crowd, and there were only a couple of us, like, like maybe two over there, and like 2, 3, and someone over there, and that was like it in the big theater, I think. But like even then, like when the line was delayed, like I like chuckled, and like everybody else like, so that I could get the sense that probably played really big, and like we were all feeling that, just like, nope. So like so that was nice. Okay, so I like the feeling of the movie and the atmosphere and everything. A lot of people have talked about, like, how Stephen Young's character, his portrayal of Jupiter, is really kind of layered and minimalistic, but there. And yeah. I was just so sad when he was gone because I was so into his character. I wanted his character in the third act of the movie. I could see why you had to come back to center on, OJ and Emerald in the end. And I get that. And I get the weeding down of all the other cast to center back in. And also, I guess too, that's like a horror movie trope thing too, right? Of like, you do have to eventually like kill off all your cast to like get back down to your protagonist in the end. But it would have been nice if they all made it, because I was so into these characters. Like, when you first see them, maybe you don't think you're going to be into them, but then, like, I'm so into, Jupiter now, and I'm so into, and yet I'm forgetting their names, but so into the Fry's Electronics guy now that it's just like, no. Like, so anyway, I was like, but maybe they're still alive in there. You could still save them. But no, but then they would be, especially Jupiter would be like traumatized for, already traumatized for life, but then having to live through that, like, no. But anyway, I did like the twist. I did really like the twist that that Jordan Peele got on, at least me as the audience member, of, I 100% thought from the trailer when we see the veil blow off, because he fooled me, and maybe it helped too that I try not to get into any spoiler things, but like, I totally thought that, like, there were gonna be, like, zombies in this movie for a hot minute, and, like, I totally thought that she was, like a zombie, and then I really loved that, like, no, like she, that's, and I think she was, like, she was treated maybe a little gimmicky maybe because of that trailer mislead, to kind of seem a bit, I guess, when you think about it, what's the term, like, ableist, of like, oh, facial disfigure, yeah, when you think about it, like, facial disfigurement is scary. Oh, no, it's not. But at least, though, I did like the reversal, though. I did like that it wasn't a zombie, and I did like that it was just, that actor, and she survived. She had her face bitten off by a chimpanzee, but she survived, and then, Juniper, like, waves her, and she waves, And you could get the sense that they, like, kept in touch, you know, and then maybe she's a frequent visitor to the ranch, you know. So, and I like the fact that it subverted my expectations, too, with that. I think it did. I don't think I got any sense from the trailer of anything. I didn't know anything about anything. And I liked that. That is how, like, I like when you give a trailer that doesn't give you any information. The only problem for me, again, I guess with the trailer, was I didn't have enough information to know how scary this was going to be, and I had to wait for some, like, spoiler-free reviews or whatever just to get the sense of, like, how scary was this going to be. Even still, I went the entire movie thinking up until, like, the last minute I'm going to watch in front of my face like a horse get eviscerated. And so now I can go back to the movie and, like, maybe relax a little bit, even though I know that, like, it all happened off screen. But still. Anyway, as any other thoughts, well, lots of thoughts with the movie, but how can I condense it into something? So let me think for a second. So anyway, I was saying I like how all the characters made realistic decisions, right? Except for the cinematographer, which that was your horror movie trope right there of, like, dumb guy has to run into the danger, you know. It made sense that it would be it made sense that it would be, like, an older, like, white male, like, you know, he's like a danger. There's footage of him, like, filming tigers and stuff. He's like a danger filmographer, you know, and he's not young. So you get the sense that, like, if anybody would be, like, cocky enough and, like, hubris enough to be like, you know, I'm gonna run right up to the tiger and shove a camera in its face, you know, and you know, it would be that guy. But still, like, it was just a bit much that he would do that and then you could presume trigger the series of events that escalated the situation just because he wanted to shoot in golden hour, you know, in sunset, which again was a Hollywood reference because I don't know if that would even be all that clear or like even I barely even know, like, magic hour or whatever. And so I could totally see, like, people just missing the reference. Like, why? You know, and again, like, maybe if I lived in LA, maybe I would see the insanity that is, you must film at sunset. Because I'm just sitting here thinking, why would you risk your life and the lives of other people? Why would you poke the beast to film at sunset when you already got the shot? But, you know, anyway, it's hubris, and one character has to have the hubris, and it made sense that it would be that guy. But I liked how, you know, just prior, you know, I liked what we saw with OJ's character with the attempted and failed rescue of whoever that mystery motorcyclist, the red shirt was. And so I liked how that was done, that whole scene, and, like, OJ's actions in that scene of, like, you know, first of all, I wouldn't have thought that the motorcyclist would have survived. I mean, well, helmet. You know, without the helmet, no. But with the helmet, maybe preventing, like, major spinal injury or something. But I would have figured death. But, okay, but he's alive. And then, so OJ makes the decision to go and attempt to rescue. And the guy, like the cinematographer, is more concerned with his camera than his life, which is so weird. But again, that is a theme with this movie. And I don't know. I guess you could say it's a little unclear with the motorcyclist if his goal was he wanted the shot, or his goal was that he wanted like the truth, like, as like investigative journalist. But he kept saying like, my camera, my camera, my camera. But it was a bit unclear. You would think that if he was after like the truth, just that concept, he wouldn't be calling out for the camera as his life is in bed. Like, someone is coming to rescue you and you're worried about your camera first instead of like, get me out of the situation. A little odd. But anyway, but OJ is trying to help him, and I think is trying to get into, like, I think he does all the like sort of correct steps of a first responder, right? Of like coming in and then being like, are you okay? Like, do you want me to help you? And then like the patient is like refusing, but then like they're in danger. I'm going in to get them out of here in like the safest way I can, trying to get them out, but then there is like impending danger coming, and then, that's when you make that decision of like, you have to like run at some point. Like, that's that moment of like, you can't save others if you yourself become another victim. And so at some point you do have to like cut and run. And so like how that all was filmed, I thought made total rational sense. And then it is immediately juxtaposed with like, so OJ is making all these like, heroic and then rational decisions, and then immediately juxtaposed with the cinematographer who's sitting in a position of safety and then just running into the monster just like cuz. Anyway, but yeah, I can see that there's these themes going on here more. I'll have to think about more with like the behind the scenes of Hollywood stuff. But anyway, or filmmaking more on a broader term. But yeah, and there's a whole lot to unpack with like, am I saying his name wrong? I think Jupiter, right? Jupiter in his past, because that's, it's like, why? What's the through line? But anyway, so it seems to me, if I were to say, okay, like, what is the plot in a basic sense, it's that, you're gonna lose the family farm kind of thing, so you really desperately need money, and the poor guy is trying to buy back all the horses, and so you really, really need to save the family farm, get the horses back, and so, but you also have this like weird UFO occurrence, and at the time, it doesn't seem hostile, but they knew it killed their dad, kind of, but maybe we hadn't pieced that together, and so there's kind of this early idea of like, if we can get a really, really, really good video of this, like the best video of this, then we'll get the money, say the family farm. And so we're all, going, with that. And then meanwhile, while they're trying to like just get the equipment to set up the cameras, that we get the electronics, guy, and then we get Jupiter, who also lives in the same area. And so child actor grew up and is running like a dude ranch kind of thing here. Jupiter's I knew the name was important. Was it Chance? Last Chance? Oh, it's super important that I know the name of what it was called now. Because it was making me... Last grass? Claim. Jupiter's claim. And I was thinking ways about that word. I was thinking like claim to fame, like his claim to fame and how he's trying to get fame. And I was thinking like in terms of kind of like a Wild West kind of theme, like claim my land, I guess. But mostly I was thinking like claim to fame, and which was making me think about this character and how he's trying to get fame. And okay, and that was making, I was like, do I go back to talking about scene by scene of the movie or overarching plot? I guess scene by scene with the movie. So, getting introduced to his character, I'm thinking of kind of, OJ is trying to make a deal with him, and I'm thinking, there's just this disconnect between the siblings. If only they were on the same page, because I feel like, in a way, she could be trying to help OJ, of like, let her kind of talk to him, like warm him up, like flatter him, and get him in a good mood so he can like kind of calm down and go easy on OJ. But OJ maybe doesn't see that that's what she's doing. He's like, stop distracting him. I'm trying to make a deal. Okay, now we're gone. And so, but I don't know if she was legitimately just distracted or if she was trying to help him, but they were just misreading each other. But, I like that it could be interpreted that she was probably helping him, but they are just disconnected from each other. Again, great dynamic there. And then, I only saw the movie once and just got out of it. But I think I did hear the whole double entendre kind of thing of everything that Jupiter was saying when related to the chimp incident. Because, he was saying it in a light tone, but, like, if you took him literally, because he was saying, like, oh, you should have seen the SNL spoof of it, and da-da-da-da, and then, this actor was playing this person, and this actor was playing this person, and, Sherry O'Terry was playing, da-da-da, and, and then, oh, what do you say? But it was like, it was like, it literally meant what happened, it was like, oh, the ape went wild, and, it was a real killing, but he says it but it's like, he's saying it, like, I got that, but I'll have to see it again to see what he says, like, verbatim, but I think he says, like, yeah, and then, it was really wild, and you're like, yeah, but it's like, how could he just compartmentalize like that, but it's like, so he hid all of the stuff related to that show behind a room, right? So he did say he let other people in there, but if I were to presume that that was a lie, it's possible that he hid everything in there and only for him to see and no one else to look at, and our guys just discovered that room. But I don't think so, because he did say he paid other people to sleep in there and stuff, like pimping out your haunted house kind of thing. And maybe, again, making, like, severely light of the situation and capitalizing on it and museumifying it was his way of trying to demystify the horror of that incident. But in either case, I at least thought of the symbolism of, like, all of those things associated with that show were in the back room hidden away. And then also how the shoe is pictured in the glass. When you first see it, I thought it was propped up like one might prop up a museum piece, like that normally a shoe would be sitting on the ground, and then if I saw it up like this in a museum, like unnaturally like up, because this like found object has been turned into like kind of like an art display piece by being put in like this unnatural vertical position. But no, because then when you see, you know, the flashback, you know, that is how the shoe, that is how he saw it. That is the position that it landed in or was. So he actually, you know, had propped the thing up in his own museum in the position that it was in, that he saw it. Like, what the fuck? Like, he literally like staged his scene to some regard, you know, which is like, oh, so why would you hold on to that? You don't have a choice. You always hold on to that. So yeah, I don't know, you know, and then like just the whole like just so struggling to get by in the world financially because, you know, presumably his career ended there and he's just left to just capitalize on the memory and nostalgia, and so and you know, not a well attended like thing, you know, he's so, you know, maybe he is just so desperate for money that he unfortunately has to exploit his trauma for money to survive, which is there's layers of grief upon layers of grief. But the movie's not about him. He's just that's the thing. He's just a side character that presumably has nothing to do with anything. So it's just like, why? Anyway, so he exists, and then I don't know. I just don't know. Well, I'm not going to figure it out now. I know there's like metaphors upon metaphors that I'm not reaching, that better people than me will reach. But yeah, it's a lot to think about. So if I want to focus on something here, it's a really interesting movie. I keep thinking atmospheric is a word. I want to actually do talk about OJ and Emerald. The whole point was to get the photograph, which Emerald even does at the end. I liked how the UFO, and I don't know what UAP stands for either, so that was lost on me. But he said, but nobody knows what I mean. But yeah, I like how the UFO, I loved how it, like, changed over time more and more and more drastically, because it seems a fairly simple shape and the fairly same shape, for a while, and then it really, really starts to change. In the end, kind of reminding me of a jellyfish. But there were moments where I was reminded of, I guess, mosquito larvae of all things, of like the aquatic mosquitoes before they're in their adult form, when they're in their larval form, are fully aquatic, and they're very, very vicious predators, and their jaw like detaches and then shoots out to grab their prey, and this is like really freaky sci-fi thing that's totally real. And so when, like, towards the end of the movie, when the like green thing, which I'm envisioning is kind of like the mouth is like, you know, coming in and out, coming like, you know, I was thinking a little bit of like the mosquito larva jaw like coming out. The other thing I was thinking of visually, because movies that it's just iconic of and I wish I could remember the name of the dinosaur, but we all know the dinosaur from the original Jurassic Park. We all know that, right before it goes to attack, and it goes with the frills, with the green that comes out to the side, and so that was what I was thinking, is this green square thing is just going, and they even kind of, and so I was thinking of that, but I was also thinking that in movie it was reminiscent of the wavy air dudes, the mouth of the UFO or whatever, because it felt like it was made out of parachute material, or it was very interesting, very, very interesting look to it. Yeah. This is a really cool movie. I wonder, I'm trying to think if I have overarching thoughts right now, or if I just kind of, obviously I just want to sit with it for a while. But yeah, so there's thoughts about, getting the shot, definitely. It seems as an overarching theme, getting the shot, and last one standing and everything. And I was so glad that OJ was there at the end, because I was like no, because I was thinking, okay, I guess I could see him dying, because in the end there has to be just one alive, and I'm like, you can't kill her, and okay, there has to be just one left standing, but I didn't want him to die, no. And then there he was, and it under the out, so very kind of Western, and framed, and it was so great with the orange. I didn't understand why, just a little detail, but, he had two, kind of green neon reflectors, on the hoodie kind of thing, and that's, a reference, I didn't understand, other than just, you have reflectors to have, but it was weird, I've never seen, a hoodie with, reflectors on it, and, when it was shot from the back, it looked like eyes, so it looked and I was like, does this mean something, it's supposed to look like a face, or, it's probably just reflectors, so they see you at night. So, but it just looked weird. I'd never seen reflectors on a hoodie like that. But I don't think you see it. I don't think you see the green reflector. I was thinking because at the end I was he's kind of in dusk or something. So I was wondering are his reflectors gonna be glowing through the dusk? Well, no, I don't think so, because you see the orange. So the hoodie must be down, because I don't think they did their job as reflectors. Anyway, no, but that was a cool shot. And I was so glad that the horse, at least Lucky made it. Lucky was the only one. I'm aw. But I so wanted there to be no horses were harmed during the filming of this movie. I'm sure that none were, but anyway, yeah, and he put the blinders on the horse, because of course, well, they weren't blinders though, because blinders would be this, but it was I presume it's just I see racing horses wear that, so I presume that's another kind of blinder, but a whole horse mask. Yeah, so that was cool, and I liked that they showed that he was training the horse to get used to the big tubey thing, instead of just let me put this bright wavy thing right in front of you and you're suddenly okay with it. I liked that they showed that he was taking the time to do that, while they were also explaining this is a predator, you don't wear red in front of a bull. Although I think they're colorblind. I think it's just the movement, but anyway, the metaphor. But yeah, they're you don't wave a flag in front of a bull, as he's waving the flag in front of the horse to train the horse. But they're talking about how they're not so much training the alien predator as they are, I think, like not operant conditioning, but something, baiting it or something, or and so it was just interesting. That's what I was going for. Breaking in, because if they choose to call the alien Jean Jacket, the line from that they were talking about was breaking in, like, so there was the I think the father was saying, there's some animals who are just too wild to break in. And so I think what it was Jean Jacket was a very wild horse, and and that was supposed to be Emerald's horse to train, or to break in and train, and which would be two separate things. Breaking in a wild horse, and then just training a tame domesticated horse to do whatever. Anyway, whatever, break in and train. Presumably, she was supposed to, and then I guess maybe Jean Jacket was too wild, and so the father said, some beasts are too wild to be broken in, but then proceeded to break in the horse with OJ, and so I guess calling, if that was the case, if I'm reading that correctly, and so maybe that was just his way of being dismissive to his daughter, and then maybe that's why she didn't really get into the horse raising side of things. But realistically, like, you wouldn't start with your first horse to train as, like, too wild, but whatever. But then calling the alien Jean Jacket, and then having that nod, would be like, OJ saying, like, okay, you're going to train this horse, or like, we're going to train it together, or we're going to, break in the beast or something. So I could, something they're going there with that. But anyway, I have to think about this movie for a while. There was a lot to think about. I really liked it. I know there's, I'm not even done with half of my thoughts, but no, it's really cool. I really liked it. It gives me a lot to think about. It was really atmospheric. It was a fun watch, and I do want to see it again. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think I'll just leave this there for now. Okay, thanks.